Hi everyone! In my review of Yamaha GL1 Guitalele, I mentioned that I use a guitar strap to hold it comfortably. And today I will show you how to install a strap button on a guitalele, ukulele or even any full-size classical guitar. I know that drilling a hole in your guitar can be intimidating, but do not worry, it's very easy. So what is needed for this project? First of all, the instrument. I will show you everything on my guitalele, but everything is the same for any classical guitar. Before you proceed, check your guitar. It should have a so-called end block inside. I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of guitars have it, but it's always better to check. Of course, we need the strap button itself. It usually comes with a screw, and you also need a felt washer. Sometimes it's sold together with the button, sometimes separately. Buttons can be very different: metal, plastic, wooden ones. I like this small aluminum Dunlop strap button. They can be sold in pairs, but we need only one. Some people like to install the second button here on the heel or here on the side, but I don't like it at all. Installation on the side requires reinforcing that side, which is not easy to do at home. And a button on the heel is very annoying when you try to play above the 12th fret. Also, drilling into structurally important area doesn't sound like a good idea. So just use a shoelace on the headstock to attach the strap. It's very easy. Keep in mind that if you have an expensive or vintage guitar, any modification can decrease its collector's value and price. I think playability is more important than that, but you should decide for yourself. Also, if you have no experience in using hand tools, try the process on a piece of scrap wood first. And for this small project we need some tools. A ruler, I use this simple wooden one, a pen or pencil, low-tack masking tape, an awl, a screwdriver with interchangeable bits, and for drilling I use this small cheap 3-jaw chuck that goes into the screwdriver's hex socket. You definitely can use an electric drill, but for this particular job I prefer this manual method over a power drill, because first of all the guitar is an awkward object to hold when drilling. So with a power tool it's much easier to drill a crooked hole or even break a thin drill bit. And if it breaks, a nasty scratch or huge dent is almost guaranteed. Also, with this screwdriver method, it's much less likely to cause wood fiber tear out or any dents with the drill chuck when you drill all the way through the end block. You will see this method in action in a minute. And of course, you need a proper drill bit. I recommend you use a special drill for wood, also called a breadpoint bit. It has this sharp central point, in contrast to drill bits designed for metals. It has a small diameter, so you can use those too, but they tend to wander more when you start drilling, and they can damage the finish in this way. You need a bit that is smaller than the major thread diameter of the screw and the same or slightly larger diameter than the shank in between threads, which is also called the root diameter. You can just eyeball it, so only threads are visible, not the solid part. It is very important so the screw can cut into the walls of the hole, but not split the wood like a wedge. Sure enough, you can use a ruler to measure everything. For example, here it's visible that the threads are slightly larger than 3.5 mm and the shank is slightly less than 3, so a 3 mm drill bit will be okay. In fact, it's not a metric screw, it's an American number 6 screw which requires a 7/64 hole, but I use the closest metric drill bit that I have. And back to the tools and materials, we also need a piece of soft cloth to protect the guitar from scratches and a piece of paper. First of all, place a soft cloth onto the table and place your guitar so it's parallel to the edge of the table, and the headstock is also on something soft and it touches the wall. I had a strap button already installed on this guitalele, so I plugged the previous hole with a wooden dowel and I can now recreate the whole process for you. First of all, apply a piece of masking tape over the area where approximately you plan to drill. It should be approximately in the center for obvious reasons. The next step is to measure the height of the sides here. The hole must be in the middle, so it's 35 mm from the top. I know that it looks like I mark in the wrong place, but it's just because of the thickness of the ruler and the camera angle. Next is the vertical line. Many guitars have a visible center line on top, but it's not always really in the center. So it's better to use the 3rd and the 4th strings to find the correct line. Take a piece of paper, it will serve as a right angle, and push it to the bridge like this. The corner must be centered in between the 3rd and the 4th strings. Now fold it down here and mark the center line. It works obviously for classical bridges that are rectangular. Of course, I do this trick with the paper because I have no seams or any lines on the side here on this guitar. But if you have an end graft or some decorations like this, then obviously ignore the paper trick and just center the line according to these decorations. Otherwise it will look strange. Guitars are not always perfectly symmetrical and it's okay. After this, take an awl and make a small dot in the center of this cross, which will help you to start drilling in the correct place. Now you can start drilling like this. But before you proceed, take the button with the screw and with a piece of masking tape mark the required depth. While it's totally fine to drill through the block inside, it's not necessary in most cases. Now position the screwdriver so it's parallel to the table and start drilling. And if you look from above, it is very clear if you drill straight. It will take about 1 minute. I don't think it's too difficult. Use both hands, but you don't need a lot of force, and do not try to change the angle after you start, so you can break a drill bit if you do it. When you finish, remove the tape and prepare the button. Don't forget about the washer. Now use an appropriate screwdriver bit to tighten the screw. If it squeaks in the process, you can apply a little bit of wax or paraffin on the threads. Do not over-tighten the screw, just use your fingers. No full arm strength is needed. So easy, very effective, and now you can use your guitar strap. I hope it will improve your playing. And as usual, if you like this video, like it, subscribe, and see you on the next one.